What's good? You're tuned in to another edition of the Marck and Mike Podcast. I'm your boy Mike.
And I'm Mark.
As we proceed to give you what you need. Indeed. Yo, let me ask you, dog, who are you listening to these days, dog? Like what young artists in the game right now do you vibe with?
Well, I mean, for the most part, I dig around the Spotify. They'll send me some new music, but not gonna lie, I ride with Ugly God.
Okay.
I ride with Ugly God.
Interesting.
The booty tape is pretty legit to me. That's the name of the mixtape. It's legit to me. I'll give it that. But I think he rides. I like his flow. I like what he does. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot different from what we used to do, the Fabulouses and the Jada Kiss and whatnot. But I do ride with Ugly God. How about you, sir?
Oh man, yo, there's so many, man. There's so many, dog. And it's funny. I don't particularly like the new music. Some of it just kind of grows on you, especially if depends on what you're into. I know locally, I'm a huge fan of Denzel Curry, man.
Oh yeah,
South Florida product. I love me some Denzel Curry.
Yeah, he was on that
the
Adidas commercial, right?
Yeah,
That
man.
was hot.
That was hot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's just getting his due, man. But I rock with him. Dog, you know who I really like, man. And this should be well documented now, dog. For my money, he is now the greatest artist of all time, dog.
Oh, God.
Sway Lee, dog. Yo, I think Sway Lee is a genius, man. It's funny. Race Swimmer is cool and all. The Swim Life, the first one, Volume 1 and Volume 2, they were pretty good. I vibe with them. But then I started to realize, this man, has written songs, written other tracks for other artists. He actually collabed with Beyonce on Formation. That's amazing to me. He has a hand in that. Of course, he's on that track I've been killing for months now. The one with French Montana, man. Unforgettable, dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's my song, dog.
I got it.
I love that song, man.
I think it's a part of the
little matter dance like go, hey, I'm like, yo, I kill that song, man. I love it, man.
I feel like that's going to be on the NBA playoffs. That's going to be the theme song NBA playoffs. If Pitbull doesn't, if it's not Pitbull, it's going to be that song.
If Pitbull or what's the guy's name, man? Oh man. Flow Rider.
Yeah.
Pitbull and Flow Rider gonna get their hands on it first.
Man, Flow Rider.
Their grumpy little hands on it.
Shout out to Flow Rider, Miami. Shout out to Flow
Shout
Rider.
out to Flow.
I haven't heard about him in a while, bro.
Look, man.
Ever since WrestleMania, I don't know, man.
But look, they have a niche and it works for them, dog. But
before we get to that niche, though, are we gonna talk about the fact that Pitbull and Flow Rider did the exact same thing? Gutter to gutter to gutter music. Next thing you know, pop. Straight pop.
They have an audience. It appeals to across cultures. I commend them, man. You got to find what works for you. I remember when Flow Rider was on the Slip and Slide mixtapes back in 2001.
He's like 6'3", 260. Yo, who's he appealing to? And Pitbull used to have straight dreaded up. Now he's Superman.
Hey, you got to do what the people want, man. And especially that international flavor. If look, Flow Rider can go across the water and sell out an arena. That's amazing to me that Flow Rider can do that.
Flow Rider. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's what put him on. The same thing goes for Pitbull, man. That Latin American community vibes with him. Internationally, of course, they vibe with him, and he sells out that New Year's show every year. That New Year's Eve show.
First off, I'm just gonna say this. It's one long party song, and I feel like they're all the same song. You can play 3 of his songs, 3-second snippets. I couldn't tell you which song
it's
was
the same chords, yeah. Most
same chords,
yeah.
Still screaming, same outfit. I don't know. This dude parties all day.
That's it. Hey man,
Mr. 305.
Yeah, it's all you
need. No, but speaking of worldwide, the new Jaden Smith track. Jaden Smith, how do you feel about Jaden Smith, the rapper?
You just put me onto that, man. Like I told you, I had a hard time giving him any respect because he'll always be Will Smith's jit in my mind, dog. Man. Look, Will Smith will forever be getting jiggy with it in summertime,
And Miami, I'm just saying.
Miami was pretty cool. Miami, funny enough, we mentioned songs that just got way too much play. Miami, they were doing that for about a good 3-4 years after it had dropped.
It still plays.
Miami was the Pitbull and Flow Rider of its time when Will Smith came out with that track. But yeah, man. But yeah, Jaden. Jaden has the tutelage and the guidance, and most importantly, the resources of being the child of someone who's in the industry. So as far as I'm concerned, he should do well, or he should be good at it. I want to see him and other artists in his situations, other people, other musicians that are trying to come from under the shadow or the spotlight of their more popular family member or or parent. I kind of want to see them do that thing that separates them from their parents. That's whether it be that style of music, that art, anything, their craft. And I think right now, I mean, not to say that Jaden can't get there. I think he will. And like I said, there are plenty of other artists like that in the game today. Even the young ones that are definitely trying to get from under the shadow of their parents.
You mentioned that, which is kind of cool because you're right, because there's so many of the artists that we used to listen to or that we're affiliated with or even older than us who are now having kids, and all their kids are trying to get into the industry. Yep. I think Diddy's son Diddy's son's in it. Can't who else is actually like the kid of someone's kid who's like but legit?
Oh man, there's so many of them, man. There's well, I mean, you can't forget the one. I mean, he's more or less, I want to say, crashed and burned. I mean, he's had a little decent career for himself, I guess. But you can't forget Master P's kid, Romeo, man. He was I mean, look, you laugh, man, but he came out with a little bit of fanfare, and everyone thought that he was, I would say he was going to be as big as his father, but everybody thought that he was going to be able to establish himself as a rapper moving forward, and I mean that hasn't worked out too well for him. That doesn't mean that he's not successful. He's done the acting thing, and and he still does some things here or there where he keeps himself in the limelight. And I think he's even on was it VH1 or something. I mean, so they're doing they're doing projects, but yeah, it's difficult, man. It's difficult to come out of that shadow, and I mean I can understand why. I can understand why, some of them pivot. They just like, let me not do what my parent does. Let me know, that's a hard act to follow, man. But I mean, in terms of these young artists today, dog, I mean, yeah, this, who I really like and who I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I like, because for years, he hasn't been out that long, but for months, I was trying my best to not like him at all.
Uh-oh.
Lil Uzi Vert.
You like Lil Uzi Vert? All your friends are dead?
Nah,
I do what I want. Hey, nah, I do what I want.
Wait. Load it. Hey. I love that track, man. But that's what it is, Look, it took me a while to understand it. I don't know if I appreciate it yet, but it took me a while to understand it. And it holds true, Mark. I'm telling you, man. The music that they make today is strictly, solely for partying and getting high.
I mean,
and in truth, if you look at it like that, if you begin to understand it like that, then it's kind of like, it's not fair for me to expect, Biggie or Jay-Z or KRS or Eric B and Rakim.
You skipped Tupac.
I didn't skip Tupac. I'm getting to Tupac because somebody thinks he's better than Tupac. Another one of these young artists thinks that he is vastly superior to Tupac as a musician. And we're gonna get to Mr. Triple X in a second. Yeah, we're gonna get to him in a second. But I mean, once you take them for what they are. And even especially in South Florida, I mean, South Florida has long been considered a party city, and you go out and you have a good time and you dance and you do all that. You begin to find an appreciation and a nuance for the music they make, not because it's just lyrically, lyrically, aesthetically please. No, it's none of that. It's just that for what it is. It's good. You can dance to it, you can move to it, you can drink to it, you can smoke to it, and that's what's really important to the people that are listening to it. I mean, that's why it's so popular. Like, I never forget, we went to the YouTube Space event, and it was at the YouTube Space event. Now, this is what, a year ago, or about a year and a half ago, and it was at this event that we found out that at the time it was it Black Beatles? Was it oh man, we found out it was like the hottest song in the world, not in America, the world, and it was just like. And to understand the magnitude of that, you have to understand that a vast majority of that market that they're gauging, or that they're following, to determine how popular that song is not American at all. It's people from Europe, it's people from Asia, it's people from South America. And when you start to realize, wow, like they are killing that song 1,000 times more than we are, and then it almost makes it feel like we're late to the party. You know what I mean?
You know what?
It's crazy, man. It really is.
And you're right about that. And I've gotten to at least three separate arguments about this
Mm-hmm.
when I try to tell people, especially when I travel internationally, that Rihanna is more popular than Beyonce.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. If you're from the States, they don't want to hear it. When I say look at the numbers internationally, Rihanna sells more than Beyonce internationally and all around.
Absolutely.
And you go there like, yo, who's your favorite? They're like Rihanna. You're like Beyonce, she's okay. Rihanna gets it.
It's a world sound. It's a world sound.
And not to mention you can do the EDM remixes and all of that stuff. Like her music remixes so much better than that. So you're absolutely right. I mean, essentially they're creating music that reaches out to a global scale. So in our minds that we want to have an idea. And plus, I mean, we're held to what we used to like. I mean, I'm all about the punchlines. Fabulous. Lloyd Banks, you know what I mean? The Jada Kiss.
Lloyd Banks reference.
Like, let me tell you, that's why I appreciate Lloyd Banks. Lloyd Banks, that dude, he just dropped like a mixtape recently.
Oh, get out of here, man. Look, if you're going to bring up Lloyd Banks, I'm going to bring up Memphis Bleak, the greatest rapper that never was. Yes. Yes. If you're going to go there, then I'm going to go with my boy Bleak.
No. Do you remember that, is that your chick?
Oh,
you remember that was originally
that's my song.
No, that was Memphis Bleak's song.
Bleak's song.
And next thing you know, what came out wasn't Memphis Bleak's song.
I mean, at least it was still on it. No, he got like a verse on it.
Jay said, I like this. We're going on mine. He's like, but Jay, he's like, no, just gonna stay right here. You get the next one. You get this one. I promise. Yo,
yeah,
but that being said, you're kind of used to that. You can use that style. You can still appreciate that. Like I appreciate Big Sean for that. Like yo, bar for bar, I like Big Sean. I'm gonna say it. I think Big Sean bodied the Control beat, but you know, saying people disagree. But I like Sean's lyrics. I like the way he does it. So I appreciate. I appreciate that. But you know, for going back to the world music and the newer music, I can't be mad at it. The music is not made for me. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. You know, that's okay. If I want it, I listen to the older stuff or what these cats are putting out. So I mean,
no, but you're right, man. You know, I mean, music in general has been definitely geared towards the younger audience, and that's why the acts themselves have gotten younger. You know, I mean, and it's so funny because we were talking about this weeks ago about just the music industry in general and how it definitely gears itself towards these record labels gear themselves towards acquiring younger artists, and that's how you get guys like Kodak Black, and that's how you get guys like Bobby Shmurda. You know, these cats who are I mean between ages of like 15 and 22, 23, and they're the ones that are ushering in this new era of music because they're the ones who are also reaching out to that audience, that 14, 15, 16-year-old, all the way up to, I mean, let's be honest, all the way up until probably about early 30s. You're gonna, that's kind of the window of opportunity in the music industry for those artists, and that's why the younger artist is always gonna get the contracts and the deals and the endorsements. I mean, look at what's his name? Oh my goodness. The other one.
Not Lil Pump.
Not Lil Pump. Oh, the one with the Sprite deal. Yeah, man.
Not Vic Mensa.
No, not that. I love Vic Mensa, by the way. He's awesome.
Lil Yachty.
Lil Yachty, yeah, Lil Yachty.
And he's in the video with LeBron James. Mind you, LeBron James looking old as hell in the video.
It's real though.
Like, dude.
But in my mind, he doesn't have a talented bone in his body. And I hope he doesn't send the Migos or Quality Control after me.
No, we don't want that beef.
I like you, Migos. I really like you guys. I promise. I really do.
And you were not left off bad and bougie. I swear to God.
I don't left off But Yachty, dog. Yachty. So I just can't rock with Yachty. But I don't need to rock with Yachty, like you just said. At the end of the day, he has an audience, he has a following, and they love him. They love his music. I'm talking about black people, white people. You know what I mean? Like the man is like doing numbers, and kudos to him because at the end of the day, it's really all about getting your money, right?
Yeah. No,
so I mean, it is what it is. Let me see. Are there any other young cats that I'm really like feeling? I mean,
wait. 21 Savage, he's young.
I don't really rock with
21. I rock with 21 Savage. I rock with 21 Savage. I rock. No, what I love about 21 Savage, I like the 21 Savage before Amber Rose. Because after Amber Rose, it's like, yo, I love the chick. And it's just like, yo, I want the 21. Like, that's, yo, come on, man. 21 Savage rides, bro.
21. I've been stuck on my.
You know it though.
I know the songs, of course, man. Like I said, party music, man.
I mean, I'm just saying, don't get upset at someone. Get off the phone while you're heading to them, and then play 21 Savage track. You gonna be like, yo, what's with all that Instagram hate? Yo, 7 I'm just playing.
Well, you know, a dude who was on the freshman XXL covered a couple of, what was it, maybe 2 years ago now, with that same group actually. Funny enough, with 21 and with Yachty and those cats was on the thing. A guy I like a lot, but he's been around for a minute. Anderson .Paak. I love Anderson .Paak, man. He's talented, man. He definitely has that West Coast vibe to him. But his music is just mad. It's mad cool. Oh, I'm gonna use this word. I'm hoping I'm using it right.
Oh boy.
It's mad wavy.
It's wavy.
It's wavy.
It's on the wave.
Yeah. That's a word that the young kids are using.
Let me tell you, I got my little brother and my sister-in-law that loves to tell me when I'm using things wrong correctly, and then I have staff that sits there and wants to tell me about how old I am. So I try to avoid that, certain memes and stuff. So I'll take your word for it. I'm the worst person to ask. So.
Still not sure what it means, but I'm going to use it, and I think I'm using it right. Wavy. There we go. Yes, that's right.
Come on. They don't know proper grammar and context.
Hashtag wavy.
Wavy,
indeed. Anyway, on to our next topic. Why not, man? Let me tell you. This is a discussion that came up on social media the other day, and it was about sex on the first date.
Huh.
I think I
saw that.
Yeah, man. Like I mean, look, it's a discussion that I think we all like to have amongst our peers. What does sex on the first date mean? Does it mean that the man is no longer interested? Strategically speaking, is it a good move at all? So tell me your thoughts on that, player. Like, what you think about that? Sex on the first date. When a woman puts out on the first night, what do you think?
All right, see, now as always, I always have to talk about there's single Marck and then there's 444 Marck. Yeah. So single Marck, I mean, look, when you're trying to go out with a person, especially when you're single and you're just trying to be hopping single person and trying to have a good time, the hope and the I won't say expectation. Very careful. Very careful. Let's say the hope is this is going to happen as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And everything that's being done prior to that is literally like we got to fill up about 2-3 hours before I find a place to either take her back to my crib, her crib, the car, or the back parking lot. No, let's not even act like, look, man,
space and opportunity.
The parking lot. All you need was time, space, and opportunity.
That's all we need.
That's all you were looking for.
It's like a calculus problem. Yeah,
legitimately. And it wasn't even like, just about trying to have a good time, and that's what it was. But, you're just trying to be single, you're trying to have a good time. Mm-hmm. That being said, sex on the first date. Whether I was young or being now, I don't think it's an effect. I think it's what's the ambition at the time that you're meeting this person. Mm-hmm. And I think we may possibly even differ on that, because I'll go as far as to say, look, man, a woman wants to put out on the first date, a dude wants to put out on the first date, they're adults. That doesn't change the fact that you may have had a connection. Doesn't change the fact that you guys are compatible. I don't think it changes what could be there. I do know that there's some people who may feel like, okay, that somehow speaks to the woman or the man as a whole, or, because I've seen women say, oh, well, I can't date him because we had sex on the first date. That doesn't make sense, because for the most part, I'd like to believe that you tend to have some dictation to that. But maybe they feel ashamed, or the dude's like, well, if I was able to do that, and saying how many other dudes and this and that, they kind of overthink themselves. Mm-hmm. And I say, honestly, at some point, since you're trying to date somebody, it shouldn't be that serious. Because for all you know, y'all just had a really good evening. The moment happened in there. I mean, you put it to game, you put it to passion, like whatever it is, it happened. But to kind of literally put in the rest of your entire relationship in jeopardy, especially if you clicked with that person. And I've had that happen, where I thought it was going to be something legit, and whether they were pushed away or, I'll admit it, I've pushed away sometimes too. But and to be quite honest, sometimes the sex wasn't what you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? Like, maybe just possible, just keeping it complete 100. Maybe wasn't what else, like, I thought it was going to be this, it wasn't that, and I don't know. So, all in all, I think sex on the first date, I don't think could affect the relationship. Mm-hmm. But, if you're comfortable, you're comfortable. Don't do it because you don't, do it because you have to. Don't make it the initial goal. The goal of the first year, if you're seriously trying to be with someone, is to legit try to get to know that person. Absolutely. If that falls into getting to really know them, so be it. If not, it is what it is. So,
no doubt.
How about you, good sir?
You know, man, it's a double-edged sword. I truly think so, and I'll tell you why. Look, as someone who how can I put this without divulging too much information?
No.
On
It's
this
the podcast.
platform.
No. The fact that we have a podcast.
You ain't dropped no numbers, so I ain't gonna drop none of mine. Look,
no. You got to be consistent.
A true gentleman never kisses and tells.
Yeah, kiss
right?
and tell.
You know what I mean?
We gotta name no names. And we got good sound people. We get this all blocked out. You know what I'm saying?
And what you mean? Look, there are select few women watching right now who are cringing. They're hoping that their names aren't being mentioned.
No, you absolutely right.
So we got to keep it comfortable for them. We want them to watch next week.
Yeah,
we want them to like, share, and subscribe.
We need your support. Love us or hate us, please support us. And if you don't like us, honestly, throw some shade comments. Those work too. I mean, let us know. You don't want shade comments?
I don't want. Please no shade. I'm sensitive.
Look, my wife dropped shade the first episode in the comments.
She sure enough did. But we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
It was cool. You're right.
But go ahead. I interrupted.
No. You good, man. Yeah, man. So like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I think that on one hand, it's like if I have an expectation of getting to know that person, and that's the preconceived notion that's governing my interaction with them, then I'm not necessarily looking for that. Like, you know what I mean? It's, it's kind of like, like you said, you're kind of going into it to get to know them. You're kind of trying to have a good time. You're chopping it up, X, Y, and Z. And then
you chop it up.
And then you really chop it up. Right?
By bon bois. Congratulations.
Ta-da. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but real talk, it's funny. Because it's like, at the same time, it's like, man, that was like, I don't even want to say it's easy, but I've always been a dude that appreciates the chase to an extent. Oh. I don't like roads to nowhere. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody does, right? No one likes to feel like they're being led on or strung along or whatever. But, like I said, I've always been a person to appreciate the chase. There's a level of conjecture. It makes you feel that you've kind of cracked or broken a threshold. No pun intended. To getting to know someone, and you've kind of reached that point where, in their eyes, they see you as, I don't want to say worthy. That's a whole nother.
Mjolnir, shout out to Thor.
Yeah, Mjolnir is it, man. You are worthy.
I can't lift it. It's not opening.
Whoso lifts this hammer
shall be worthy. That's what you tell her. It's like, yo, let's see.
Hey, but that's the expectation. That's and of course, at the same time, if on that journey I don't feel like it's worth it, I can just stop talking to her, right? It's wash my hands of that, and I'm moving on to the next one.
You can't do that after you smash.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can. It depends on where her head's at. Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie to you. The instances where I went in, blind, just blind as a bat, just kind of just really just playing the situation by ear, and then it happens, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm gonna take this pleasant surprise, like, all right, but even governing that and moving forward after that, like you said, you didn't want to use the word expectation, but I'm not gonna lie to you, Mark. I felt like that kind of set the stage for how I interact with her in the relationship moving on, or in the dating process moving on. It doesn't mean that I think any less of her. It just means that I've kind of categorized her in a way that, let's be real, most women don't sleep with a man on the first date because they don't want to get in that category, So and once again, like I said, that doesn't mean that I didn't think anything of them. One in particular I was really cool with, and long after it happened, I wouldn't have minded to establish something with her. It just didn't work out that way, right? So it is what it is. But I more so. I definitely think that this is definitely a conundrum far more for the woman than it is for a man, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a dude, I mean, you might get a couple of dudes that are like, oh, no, please, no, don't.
No, I don't want to ruin this soul chastity.
I'm just a boy.
I got Bible study in the morning. I can't.
Yeah, I can't. Nice and slow.
It's after 12 o'clock.
Usher,
Sunday, Lord's
Usher,
Day.
yeah. Oh,
not Usher.
Not Usher. No.
Let it burn.
Really bad at that. You know what I mean?
Nah.
But yeah, man. So like I said, yeah, it's definitely a bigger conundrum for the woman, and I can certainly understand that. You know, once again, they don't want to be categorized, they don't want to be typecasted before they even truly get to know the person. But you know, sometimes, I mean, in the flow of the chemistry and things going exceptionally well, it just makes sense. I'm gonna tell you where it really gets weird, and I think that I'm more so inclined to be like, you know what, I'm good. It's the woman where the chemistry is kind of like sputtering. It's not really there, you know. But she had already came into it with the mindset that she was gonna get hers, right?
She might even they was like, yo, look, I see them glasses, I see that beard, yo, we doing this.
We doing it. It's going down. It's
going down.
I see that chocolate, that thick sexual chocolate.
There you go.
Bring it here. I'm like, oh,
I see the podcast. Like, how was it a big fan?
Oh, she a star. Oh,
yeah. You want to be a star, don't you?
Like,
Like, get the opposite ends and sorry. She knew it was.
I'm not going there. No, I'm not.
Go back to the condo.
Look, man. She bring me back to the condo.
She went to the condo. Was like, yo.
She's like, take it off, all off, right now.
Why you being a punk? Why you being a punk? I should have called Marck.
He would have been with it. I'm gonna throw you back, you soft. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute. But yeah, so I mean, but I'm telling you, I think the woman that does it, or I mean. A dude is a dude, and I know it's not fair to say. But I mean, a man is far less inclined to be, I guess, what's the word for it? I'll say cordial, but courteous in that situation, and understand that, you know, when the chips are down, yo, she probably don't want to holler at me ever again. This is probably the last time I'm going to see her. So he'll throw the Hail Mary attempt. He's like, well, we can go back to my place. I mean, bro, now he know ain't nothing about to come from it. And truth be told, I know dudes, and you know them too, that if the date is horrible, that's exactly what they say.
The 50-50 ball, man.
Just throw it up. Throw it up because because you know the date was bad. So if I'm never gonna see her again, you know, this is one way to get rid of her. It's either she's gonna let me hit, or we're gonna go our separate ways and she can say whatever she wants about me. We know plenty of dudes like that. No. But I think with women, I just find it off-putting. If we have a date and you know you and your phone the entire date, right? And I'm trying to make conversation with you and I'm trying to make a connection with you, and at the end of the night, you know, she's like, all right, yeah, this food was pretty good. You want to go back to my place and smash? And I'm, I'm just kind of like, oh, what's happening here? I seen Pretty Woman. I know what happens next. Like, my goodness.
Yeah, she put some on the counter like the Eddie Murphy movie.
Like, how's she gonna be Richard Gere?
I could give you a really quick example of that. I remember I went out on a date with this girl, single Marck, and I thought the date was absolutely horrible. Word. I was just like, yo, this girl ain't feeling me. She's kind of annoying. Mm-hmm. It don't, I don't see nothing happening in here. So let me drop her home. I do need to use the restroom. Go use the restroom. And next thing you know, things happen. Completely shocked. Like, I thought the game was over. I was down by 20, beginning of the third quarter. I put in the reserves. And next thing you know, the reserves hitting threes.
The single greatest comeback.
The single greatest comeback in the history, yo. I'm down 3-1. Come back 3-3. Next thing you know, Kyrie in the corner. Game over. And you know what I'm saying? And that was the end of the evening. Granted, nothing became much after that anyways, and she's married, so cool. Shout out to her. I don't know if that's how the situation happened there, but all in all, I see that last Hail Mary differently. I see it as look, man, maybe you can change your mind, maybe not, or maybe like, look, maybe this is all you want out of the situation anyways. And that's like, yo, might as well, because if not, she like, yo, on top of that, he tried to ask her, like, yo, the date was already bad, whatever. But look, and all we can say is, at least he asked, and if she says no, it's a no. Yeah. So at least he ain't pressing on it.
Word.
And and he's in sorry.
Look, it's no sweat off his back. He's like, oh, okay, all right, cool, bye. You know what I mean? Here's the new like real talk. Like it's not fun if we both ain't having fun. You know, I'm gone. You know. Yeah,
so man. I mean, but all in all, I mean, I would like to say this: women are allowed to have just as much a good time as a dude. And whether they want to have the intention of getting, because maybe I want to get to know them, make them for the rest of their life, and maybe they just want to one hit quick. Yo, so be it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think it's less about the sex on the first date. I think about just the natural intention and the person there, which which is a very interesting transition to the topic that we have for today.
Absolutely.
Black love. Yes. Black love is something that comes up very regularly in our day-to-day lives. I mean, I know from, growing up, that's all I've seen. And going through the years, starts becoming a conversation about, from dating to seriously dating, kicking it, to eventually marriage. And, just all the dynamics to that. So I want to start with the first part. And it kind of goes into the, sex on the first date. Is there a difference between talking versus dating versus a relationship?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because... when you're heavy on the dating scene, you always have these categories for how you describe what it is that you have with that person. So my favorite one was always, we talking, it is what it is, right? Because sometimes talking is just a complete undersell of what it is that you and that person have. Talking was kind of a way of saying it's none of your damn business. You know what I mean? Like, we talking, but then it's like, but talking is also, it's there are people that get offended when they hear the word talking. Yeah, we just talk. Oh, that's all we doing? Yeah. We wasn't talking last night.
You're talking in my butt.
Whoa, Mark.
I'm just saying these are examples that come up. Examples that come up.
We need to take a break.
You want the ratings or not? We give it real. We give it raw.
Gritty. Raw. Oh, giving it raw? Giving it raw, Art? No. If you're just talking, you shouldn't be giving it raw. I'm just saying, because you're giving it raw to a lot of people who have to get you talking.
If you're talking to a lot of people, you shouldn't be giving it raw. Absolutely correct.
But then again, we grown. We grown. Look, some sheepskin. Some Vaseline, No. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. We're segueing.
At least the polyurethane.
People are
polyurethane, bro. Polyurethane.
You gotta get creative. Come on.
Polyurethane, bro. You're gonna take old sneaker wrappers, yo.
Hey, look, man. Condoms are passe. We're grown, man.
What? Condoms are like the best thing ever, bro. Like, yo.
The kids are watching, man. I'm sorry.
No. You
strap up. Prophylactics are good.
You're a lot more Caribbean than I thought you were, bro. Yo.
Trying to say only island people? You ain't wrong.
Island people treat condoms like we treat dental dams. They're like, yo, what is this? What am I going to do with this?
Wagwan.
What's this here?
Why this?
What is this?
But no. Back this up. We're segueing. On the next episode, prophylactics. What works, what doesn't.
It's like, what's your pull-out game like? Can you pull out of a driveway?
Right. We'll share tips and hints and techniques next week. But talking is always that. Talking is always that stat. You're trying to get to know them. It's gonna take a little longer than usual. Yeah. But talking can mean a lot of things. And to some people, talking is in fact dating. Right? Because now you're going through the courtship process, you're trying to get to know the person, and you're just changing the setting. So sometimes talking and dating are synonymous to some people, and to other people, talking is exactly what it says it is. Yeah. Talking.
Yeah.
But what I always find funny is, where does the exclusivity kick in? Right? We know, at least we like to know that it's there during a relationship, but is it there during dating? So a lot of people will say it's not. But God forbid, you're talking to somebody, right? Or you're dating somebody.
Yeah.
You're dating somebody.
Yeah.
And that person is dating somebody else. yeah, I've seen a lot of people no longer date because of that. Yeah. And because there was and we're going to use the word reasonable, we're going to go a little bit to the law field here, but there was a reasonable expectation or, under a reasonable person standard, I expected us to be exclusive in this dating thing as we continue to figure out if we want to take it to that next level, right? So that's always been, the cloudiness in that situation. Then there are people on out there in social media world who feel that even when you're in a relationship, that's still exclusive.
Till you're married.
You ain't dead till you're married. Exclusivity is not old, and if I find better, then it is what it is. So I mean, it really depends on on the people. But I think that's why talking is important, right?
You know what, and you're right, and I'm glad you closed out. You closed out that point with that, because it's like at the end of the day, if you don't know, ask. If people are so scared to ask, and it's crazy because you're scared to ask, but then when it doesn't go your way, you're super sad. It's like, nah, you have to have an investment in your feelings. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know how this is going to work, how this is going to work. Are you dating other people? What's up? And I remember my wife, she was very adamant. She's like, yo, are you dating anybody else? Just let me know, cool, whatever. It was essentially like, yo, I can cut off who I'm talking to. You can cut off who you're talking to. We just leave it as such. Just keep it rolling. And I can't be mad at that. And it's very clear. And granted, I met my wife when I legitimately made the decision, look, I want to settle down. I want to be in a relationship. But when you're single, at the end of the day, you're just, it's honestly a lot of juggling, especially if you're a serial dater. Like, you're just literally just trying to juggle it around. And you're just trying to I'm trying to keep whatever situations I have with these select group of women as long as I can before it goes left. Before the what are we conversation comes up.
And here's the problem with that. While you might have been honest with them, you have to understand that a lot of people, both men and women, will lie to preserve that situation, to preserve that status quo.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about it, because it's like that's where when you get your car keyed, I can't be upset. When I deal with DV, when I deal with my DV case and someone says, "Yo, man, she keyed my car and she did this and she broke my window, whatever." And I'm like, yo, what happened, man? Nothing, man. I mean, we were talking, smashed, we're raw, she got pregnant. She might have had an abortion. And then I got back with my wife. And I'm like, whoa,
slow down.
Whoa. There's a lot you skipped over there.
There's a timeline here. We need to discuss this.
Exactly. I need some timeline and sequentials, you know what I'm saying? But, so it's like when people had this expectation, there was one rule that I specifically had when I was single. I was like, look, if I wasn't serious about a person, we were just casual. And a lot of times, like, yo, I want to be casual, I want to be chill, I'm focusing on my schooling, I'm focusing on my career, whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Once I realized they're taking it too deep, I felt like I need to back off of that. Mm-hmm. Not for them, because they can independently make their own decision, but for me. I cannot have that level of insanity going on, where people just kind of popping up or thinking that they have that type of access. And I see that to be a lot more reckless, and I think that's where the problem of the talking, dating versus relationship happens, because people don't want to be clear, and people don't want to be clear because when you're around the ambiguity of the situation, you can kind of get what you want without not having that commitment. Mm-hmm. Because if you say, oh, we're dating, we're exclusive, we're in a relationship, and you go talk to someone else, you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
No one, I can't think of the last time, we're from Miami. Look, people date all the time. I don't know the last time I see someone say, no, we chilling, we dating other people, and they say, okay, cool, because they're going to be dating other people. Like, I know some women, it's like, they take just as much liberty as we kind of tend to typecast the male in having in terms of dating. They're like, look, I want to sit here and spend my time dating. I want to meet the best candidate I have, or I want to go out and have a good time. You may not you may not want to sit there and take me to Kitchen 305, or I went with you and I don't want to go, and you're not going to take me again because I kind of used that card, and some other dude offers or whatever, so be it. But, if I wanted her to be exclusively mine and I thought that much of her, I think it would beget me to say, look, this is what I want. This is how I did it. And going back, that's what I did for my wife, and it worked out.
Word. No, that's interesting, man. And it's funny that you mentioned about the ambiguity. Yeah, because I really do think that it comes down, or at least what people like to pretend like it comes down to, is just, semantics, right? Yeah. And when it gets to that point where, you now have to make a decision, on whether or not you want to continue with this person in a manner that respects their feelings fully, and that you know, dare I say, use the word, you want to commit to that person and to only that person, versus, you know, continuing to play the field, kind of finding out, you know, what's out there for you, and kind of, you know, I think it you know, they'll say, oh, well, you know, we were just, oh, you know, we were dating, or we were just talking, right? You know, all of a sudden now, talking, dating, and relationships are all one word now, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, and it becomes that intentional blurring of the lines in order to, like you say, continue to get what you want out of it. And you know, as it relates to black love, I think that because that happens so much, it muddies the waters for the next person. Now, and it's funny, I always say, you know, as long as I've been dating and in relationships, and I've had maybe 3 like legitimate major relationships in my lifetime.
And I'm aware of all 3. Cool.
Yeah, of course, man. You know, and it's like, it's funny, man. You know, it's one of those situations where I don't ever want to make that person feel like, you know, I'm not fully committed to them, because I feel like that gives them the green light to not be fully committed to me, right? And that's on any level. Even if I'm dating, then I need to at the very least, I don't want to say sell you on the idea, because selling would then insinuate that it's not true, but I do have to convince you that, look, if I say that we're dating, I have no interest in spending, you know, the money that I like to spend on dates with multiple women. That is just not something that I do. You know, so, you know, like I said, I'm just not a fan of that from my own sake, because dating is expensive in a mug. I be trying to tell people that.
Oh my God, it ain't even a game.
Like, man, like, you know, look, I like what I like, you know, and you know, it's funny, like, you know, I got into a discussion about with one young lady, you know, she was like, oh, that's a really fancy first date, right? Or that's a really fancy, you know, y'all going to this restaurant or that restaurant. I was like, sweetheart, don't get it twisted. I just like to eat there. Yeah. I mean, if you're there and you have a good time too, that's cool. Yeah. But at the very least, if I don't like you or you don't like me, then like guess what? The food was delicious in the mug, right? Look.
So shout out to the TGI Fridays in North Miami.
The North Miami Fridays.
You know this. I might have had at least 60 first dates there.
They treated you like cheers in that spot.
They knew exactly.
Everybody knew your name.
That was my go-to first date spot, because it was like my philosophy was very much clear. It was like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Like, leave me alone.
But on the first day, it's like, look, Fridays, you guaranteed to have good food. I'm sorry. Like, their menu is so diverse, it's very hard to pick a bad meal. You hit them with the Cajun chicken or shrimp pasta, and you're good. And the other option was High Rose, the Japanese place, so you look cultured to the women. You're like, oh, we have sushi. Oh, you like sushi? And then next thing you know, that's the swag. Anyways, that being said, though, I cannot sit there and overly spend on the first day without knowing you. It's not to say that you're not special. Like, I believe in the kind of like, yeah, you really want to impress someone, but I don't know you enough to impress you. So this idea of I got to do the best thing ever to get your attention, get your time, that's me trying to impress you. I'm not necessarily trying to impress you. I'm trying to get to know you. Word. And in the process, I hope you get to know me. Word. So we can kind of create that connection. Word. I had a separate situation with a girl. You know who she is. And, you know, I met her. She was cool. Not going to say where she's from. Not going to say anything. But, you know, my first date with her was the Texas de Brazil. Mm-hmm. And this was back when young Miami boy, like, I've never been to a Sizzlers. I think I've been to Red Lobster maybe 3-4 times. Like, I'm not used to many of these things. Texas de Brazil is real.
The Churrascadia, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so it was, I knew she was about that. I took her there. And, you know, we had our time. We had our experience. And, you know, she's cool and all. But that was the first date. And it was a lot, man. By the time that bill was $175, and I was like, that's right. Man. In law school, maybe, like, if I had no money, like, I can't do that every week.
About that,
I can't do that every week.
Who you telling, man?
Or every other day, I can't, man.
Who you telling, man? I mean, and that's why, I always find it funny, man. Like, I've had some really good first dates. I'm not gonna lie, and like I said, I've been in 3 And now I'm thinking about maybe a fourth one, but definitely 3. And somebody's getting counted out, but they don't know who. They don't know who getting excluded from that. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So I've been in maybe 3, 4 strong relationships, but I've had too many first dates to count. And I tell you what though, look, the first date be lit. Like that's one thing they can't say, that a first date with Mike wasn't fly, dog. They was loving it.
You remember that, yo, Mike? You just set a new standard now. So anybody who sees the podcast and goes out, you're like, yo.
But they already know. Look, I turned it into a verb. I was like, yo, man, this chick's about to get cheesecake, dog. They be like, what? I'd be like, yo, we going to Cheesecake Factory. First date, right? She'd be like, huh? She'd be like, cheesecake.
That's where families go.
Like, I like cheesecake. I'm like, yeah, I know you do, but this ain't about you right now. Like I told you, I like what I like. And I like Cheesecake Factory. And I could go by myself, but why? No. So come along with me. We can have a conversation. But we're going to get this cheesecake.
We're going to get this cheesecake.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cheesecake, though?
Oh, man, there's so many of them. You know what's funny, man? Because I'm usually a fan. Well, first of all, I like anything pumpkin spice. So when the season come around, so when October come, man, and they doing the pumpkin cheesecake, I'm all on it. Yeah. But yo, low key, dog. And funny enough, I only had it because they ran out of the pumpkin cheesecake. It was the blueberry lemon.
Huh.
Dude, let me tell you. And I tell you why I like it. It's not too sweet. You can get the graham cracker in there. You can taste it. It's delicious. The lemon is subtle because I'm not a very big fan of like the lemon flavor. Like I don't like lemon meringue or any of that stuff. That's crazy. But it's perfect, man. It's just the nicest, the best blend of flavors, dog. You gotta try it if you haven't, dog. It's trust me, it's perfect, and it's also one of the lower in calories on the because all them things about good 1,500 to 2,000 by themselves anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the lower ones, man. So it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
Well, I'm in cutting season, so I don't actually know now. I'm gonna try that, but I usually like anything white chocolate.
Oh yeah, love white chocolate.
I love white chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. So my white chocolate one, I think the red velvet one was pretty dope, but I like the white chocolate of the cheesecake. And mind you, I'm not even a huge cheesecake person.
Real talk.
But it is legit. And, if you're there and, and the person you're with gets it, you're like, might as well.
Don't worry, ladies. We like dark chocolate, too.
Oh, yeah. Dark chocolate, lady.
Anyway.
No. We're going to cut to that. Because you know what? Every time I mention like white chocolate, you like white chocolate.
You like white chocolate.
For the record, I'm going to quote it right here, right now. I go to bed with coconut oil and a do-rag every night. I'm married to a black queen.
To an ebony goddess.
Yes. And so just to make that claro, just in case there's any questions, shout out to, to white and all the other nationalities and the people in the interracial relationship, but that's mine.
Word.
But that being said, it's funny because the first date I actually had with her, after she curved me, like 2 other times.
Word, really, dog? Yeah. She was airbending on you, dog.
Look, I'm wait to the white argument the week before we film, and I'm just going in like, yo, she heard me. She left me out chilling. I tried to take her out. She canceled last minute. Like,
I'm said she about to be fired. They be like, oh no, really? Oh man.
Yeah, they go send messages, yo. But our first date was actually at Cold Stone. Let me break that down for you. For those single dudes, let me tell you. I have never had anybody have a bad experience at an ice cream place.
Word.
You take a first date to an ice cream place, first off, you get anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour of time. Sitting there talking about ice cream, having a conversation.
Word.
You get her best flavor. There is no way anybody can have a bad conversation or bad situation.
They sing to you when you walk in.
They sing to you, especially back in the day. Nowadays,
They a little lazy now? I ain't been there in a while, but word.
I took it was nice, and it like just clip off the playbook, you know what I'm saying? First dates at Cheesecake. Because people are like, coffee first 15, especially if you don't really know the person. Right. I guess you meet them on like a Tinder or social media, you don't really know them. Do ice cream. Yo, you want to go get ice cream? Who's going to say no to ice cream?
Word.
No one says no to ice cream. So I think that's one of the best first date spots to go, and it worked for me, you know what I'm saying? I went from getting curved to, marrying.
Well, hey, that's real. That's real.
Mean, you talk about comeback season, bro. I was down by 50 in the third, and I had to go get my Damian Lillard on, bro. Like, just getting them off.
No. Funny enough, though, one of the best first dates experiences I had also, man.
Gingerbread? We gonna bring gingerbread?
Nah, we can't bring that up.
We gonna bring gingerbread? We gotta bring it up in a later episode.
We can't bring that up, man.
We're gonna have an episode on Wingman.
That can't come up, man. We can't talk about that. Oh man, we can't discuss that, dog.
All right, we won't bring that. No, we're gonna have to do a Facebook Live or something, man.
Nah, I can't have it. I can't have it out in the atmosphere, dog. Not that one, man. Oh,
Alright,
man.
fine. What was your best first date?
I was going to say Starbucks, man. I was trying to feed off of the damn it, Mark.
Starbucks. No, so fine. Starbucks.
Yo, we might not have to air this podcast now, dog. Like, man. Yo. We might have to edit that out. Yo, shout out to Nes D behind the camera.
Yo, Nes D, he understands. That out the location.
He understands. Oh my goodness, man.
Yo, block that.
Because that only happened once, man. So that person knows exactly who I'm talking about.
That's what this.
Oh man.
Ooh, keeping it spicy.
And her friends, you already know, dog. You already know.
Oh, now you're making it out for everybody.
You already know, man.
He's like, you going down with me.
Yeah, shit, might as well, dog. But nonetheless, dog. But yeah, man, Starbucks was. I mean, like you said, it was just the setting and the forum for great conversation. And we seen drinking our drinks and just having a good time, and it was quiet, and so we're not talking over loud music and nothing like that. And you just truly get to know someone, you get to chop it up. But like you said, I mean, and I don't think this is particular or synonymous just to the black community, but some people do not feel that that's an appropriate first date spot. Yeah. Just like some people don't feel like Cold Stone is an appropriate first date spot
or Fridays,
or Fridays, but you know what it is. It's like. But you're gonna like it. You know what I mean? But no, but I think that does speak to courting in general. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. Yeah. It just means that this is a hurdle that, if you so choose to climb, in my opinion, you're gonna have to prove at the end of the day that, it's worth it, And I mean, look, I know cats that used to do the steakhouses on the first date, right? And they'll go to Houston's or Morton's, or they'll go to at the time it was Smith and Walensky, or they'll go to STK. You know what I mean? Or
Texas Day Brazil. That's a
Brazil. Oh yeah, Texas Day Brazil. Yeah, you got the cheddar Scotia, man. And the cats do that religiously, and and it's because for them in their mind that's the home run, right? And like I said, I feel like if that's the home run in your book, then you should have been booed up 10, 20 girls ago when you were doing this. So that's why, like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I pick the nicer restaurants, I feel like I'm doing it for myself. I'm dating me. You know what I mean? Hashtag self love. You know what I mean? That's for me. No offense, sweetheart, but that's for me. But I'm gonna make sure that you have a good time too. And I'm gonna let you get the steak that you want. You ain't got to get the small one. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You're gonna get 24 ounce New York steak.
If you want the porterhouse, if you want the New York strip, if you want the ribeye, that's cool.
Oh Mike, you a nice date, sir.
Like I said, it's a steakhouse. I'm gonna enjoy it too. You know what I mean? Okay. And if you're trying to be polite and dainty and get the salad, that's fine too. And if you gonna say that I'm not gonna rock with him after this date, then let me get the rest of your steak. How about that? Right. Anyway,
we're gonna package both of these to go.
We're gonna package both of these to go.
So now you can take the no you can't.
And I'm taking the mac and cheese and the cream spinach. They're both mine.
And the mashed potatoes with the butter.
I'm not really a fan of the mashed potatoes, man.
Oh, that's my ish, man.
I'm a sweet potato guy myself, dog. Maybe it's the island in me talking, dog, but I love sweet potato, dog.
You pandering to a black woman now. Like, sweet potato.
Sweet potato is delicious. Oh, well, not the pie, dog. Just like mashed sweet potato, or just the sweet potato with, still straight up, and they put the cinnamon in the
complex carbs. Your complex
carbs.
Oh,
you already know, man. You already know, man.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there, dog. But back, kind of, segueing a little bit back to the issue of black love, man. Yeah. Let me ask you, man, like in terms of these, that dating stage or even a stage that may exist outside of that dating bubble, outside of that process, that process of, going from courtship and talking to dating to the actual relationship itself. I think that if this were a Venn diagram, this would be the bubble on the outside floating away.
Okay.
The friends with benefits, man. What do you feel about the FWB status? It seems to draw the ear of much people, and people, everyone that I talk to, everybody that I know, especially in my circles, will always say that, FWB is not where you want to be, but everybody finds themselves in it more often than not.
Here's what I'll say about the FWB, though. I think the thing about FWB is I think it works in the modern concept of life. When you're like in your late 20s, early 30s even to some extent, where you're more focused on other things other than trying to have a full committed relationship. When you want to focus on your career, your school, grad school, when you want to focus on building your business, you want to have that focus and be to yourself. But at the end of the day, you need to get worked out. Like, period. So you have that person, you feel like you have enough of a dynamic with them, where you're comfortable enough with them to have this or to express yourself sexually. And then you can just kind of do that and then go on to your life. So you don't necessarily, and you cordial, you're otherwise, capable, and you're allowed to function with your life. But then you get that once in a while. And the reason why I say that's even better is because when you're trying to create a relationship, when you're trying to have that, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time and energy. You can't just, and I made this mistake a lot, especially when I was in law school and started my practice, when you try to focus on building something, like in your professional life and trying to build a relationship, it is very difficult to give one thing more time than the other. And if you meet a woman who all around is great but wants or demands that much more time, it's difficult. So sometimes like, you know what, look, I just want to be able to kind of have this dynamic and have this relations with someone, because you may have needs and urges that you want to kind of have dealt with. So for people who say they don't want it, I don't think they want it innately because I don't think they like the stigma behind it, I think. But I definitely think there's a lot of benefits there. Of course, there's negatives. There's the, emotional attachment. What if that person wants more? But that's where communication comes in. But that being said, I don't think at the end of it, the friends with benefits concept is the worst. I just think that if you're going to do it, make sure it's something you can do and be okay with the circumstances around it.
I mean, I think that's the issue. I think you just hit it right there on the head. I think that when it comes to friends with benefits, look, I think we're all our own worst enemy. And, the problem with the stigma that's often attached with being a part of a relationship or of a situation that's a friends with benefits, a part of that is attached that, one, someone's always going to catch feelings, or, someone's always more inclined to I guess, be responsive to the needs of the other person, than the other. Like, it's never, I guess, so it's never equal, if you will.
Yeah.
But, but it's always funny because what friends with benefits really ends up becoming is, I approached you and you curved me on a relationship tip, so I'll settle for this. I'll take this instead. And the idea is that the person or the less willing participant of a friends with benefits relationship is often the person that is attempting to trick or convince, the person that they have this friends with benefits relationship with, that they want to be in an actual relationship. Right. That this is my way of sticking around and staying around, and if I'm pleasing this person physically, they'll eventually let me into their life to the point where we can be exclusive. Yeah, okay. And that's the letdown. But that is the true nature of friends with benefits. Like I said, where we are our own worst enemy. We put ourselves in these situations and we take these L's. And don't get me wrong, even though like I always say, I'm a big boy. So at the end of the day, if any situation that I find or I put myself in, I'm always going to take the L, long before I point the finger at anybody else, just because that's just how I look at things. Yeah. However, look, there are people, and, that doesn't mean you should ignore the idea that the person who, I guess, is holding the keys, if you will, who has all the power in that power dynamic, because truth be told, friends with benefits does often play out as a power dynamic. Okay. The person who has that power, it's sometimes how they wield it. And it goes back to that idea of ambiguity. It goes back to that idea of, well, if I tell that person, how I feel, how do they respond to it? And they can gloss over and be like, look, I like what we got going on, so let's continue doing what we're doing, Or they can just be like, well, yeah, I'm not there yet. And that always, and when you say words like yet, or when you say words like possibly or maybe, look, as one of my favorite comedians, Mike Epps, used to say, that's just them trying to leave some hope. And that hope is not for a relationship. That hope is to continue getting what they're getting until they decide, okay, I'm done with this, or I'm casting you aside or pushing you to the left. And I think that's the problem with friends with benefits. If we all went into the FWB mentality, like adults, right? Or we all went into it understanding and knowing that this is more transactional than anything, then that's one thing. But I think because it's friends with benefits, and it's not just people with benefits or benefits,
Sliders.
dog, look, yeah, or look, but because of that, that's when the F should probably stand for fragility at the end of the day, because that's when, look, man,
Hit me with the word of the day,
look,
sir.
man, that's the dime, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, but really, because
man's educated.
because look, man, because that's what ends up happening. Ultimately you're letting your emotional guard down with somebody that you do have a connection with, but but that person's trying to keep it stagnant.
Yeah.
And that's where the emotions always creep in. That's where it always turns into something that, now you have to either have growing hostility towards them when they move on, or or worse. I mean, like, it turns into like legit, like beef. Like you mad at him, you mad at the girl he did choose,
God.
you mad at you mad at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I mean, and look, dudes too, like, I know cats that be like they don't ever give up an opportunity to remind a chick, oh, you with that bum still? Or mind you, she done married the guy. She done had 2 kids from him, right?
We just like it in half.
You still with that duck? And I'm just like, bruh, like you ain't want her when she was single. Now you just but now you're in his feelings because he realized that he missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. Definitely, it's definitely not a one-way street. But that's why friends with benefits is always a tricky situation. And even when you do get full disclosure, you always have to worry about whether or not you're honest with that person, because sometimes that person will come back, well, yeah, that's what I told you, but you knew I wanted more. And he probably did, but it's like, okay, see, now we're just mixing in we got a cacophony, a cornucopia of emotions, and now the situation between the both of you is so messed up, or it's so strained that, with the one, you can't communicate with that person anymore. 2, you completely shun them overall, or like I said, 3, now you're just hostile about everything that they do, and you're mad at them for living their life. Yeah. So yeah, friends with benefits is an interesting one. Like I said, it doesn't keep us from not getting into it. We all, when you're single, you're all with doing it. It's just a matter of, what side of the fence you fall on, I suppose, and you hope that you just don't have to take any unexpected L's from that situation. You know what I mean?
Well, with that being said, though, when does that start and end? And more specifically, I'll go broader.
Mm-hmm.
How is dating, or how would you summarize dating? Like, let's say in your early 20s versus in your 30s. I mean, actually, I guess we only have like 2 to 3 real layers of ages.
Dating gets. It's funny you say that. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. Dating is supposed to get easier from the standpoint that as you get older, as you've experienced more, you've had more relationships and formed more bonds with people, and as you begin to find out what it is that you want, right? It's supposed to get easier, and you get older, and things change. Now you want to start a family, or you want a partner, like a travel partner, or so now it becomes about, okay, well, how is this person? Where are they in life? Can they sustain a level of living that is suitable for the both of us, right? So, so now it becomes, like literally the rules of engagement change from one age to the next, or from one era in your life to the next. With that being said, let's be real. It gets harder. And it gets harder because people in general go from their 20s to their 30s to their 40s, and they take with them the baggage that they had from dating yesteryear. It is what it is. When look, no one goes through life unscathed. We all have our issues. We all have our circumstances and situations, and it would be foolish to assume that someone doesn't bring with them the trauma, the turmoil, the trial and tribulation that largely affected them when they were dating. When they were younger. That happens a lot, I find, with people that were married at a younger age. The ones who got married like out of high school, or they were, like from ages like 18 to 22, and then like they're divorced by like 28, 29, 30. That's a whole new ball game for them when they get out there.
I've had some clients I think fall in that category.
Dude, it's a whole new game for them. And part of them feels like, oh, well, I'm single and ready to mingle. Ha ha. And they about to get out and chop it up. And it's kind of like, yeah, like in your own way, you're a little bit broken by what took place. But more importantly, you missed out on quite a bit of time now. You took yourself out the game in the sense that, things have changed. The rules of engagement are different. And I think that because that happens, it then becomes a very sour experience, not just for the person that got married, but for the person that's been in a long-term relationship when they were younger, for the person that's been in a relationship that yielded children, obviously. And more so for the person that constantly, and this is probably the more common person, for the person that constantly found themselves with somebody who just isn't. And I'm sorry I used that word. I'm sorry I used that word. I'm sorry I used that word.
Oh, no, you're about that on YouTube. But once you start getting monetized, you'll get monetized this.
He used the S word, right?
That could get bleeped, right? All right, good. Get bleeped.
But yeah, man. But when you with the ain't-ish person, right? And when you're with multiple ones, and when you've squandered so much time with a person who never treated you the way you should have been treated, or never appreciated you the way you should have been appreciated, you bring that into your next situation. If that person cheated on you 1,000 times, then the next person you're with, you're going to think that they're cheating on you. And they might be at home every damn night, right? Like that's just what it is, right? So now you become worried about the things that, you normally wouldn't have been worried about, but for your previous instances dealing with the opposite sex. And that's a problem. That's highly problematic because now you're letting the past situation govern your future. You're letting the person that hurt you or scarred you or whatever the case more or less determine whether or not you're going to be able to be in a functioning, loving, and caring and fulfilling relationship in the future. And that's crazy.
I mean, I agree. I agree with one aspect. I agree with a lot of what you say, but one thing I will say is this. I do agree that dating from your 20s to your 30s, it does become harder, in a sense. I think the baggage thing, the baggage aspect is definitely valid. But what I think really does change is I just think the dynamic of relations change. And what I think also changes is how you meet people changes. Mm-hmm. When you're even in your teens to your 20s to your going into your 30s, in your teens and 20s, you're in places that you're made to be in. You're in school mostly in your teen years. If you go to college, you're in college. You're in certain groups. You have much more social time. You have less responsibility. So you have time to socialize, meet people, mingle, and kind of figure that all out. And I also think in your 20s, you're dealing with the dream aspect of your life. Everybody, the question when you're dating in your 20s is, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And honestly, you can pull out any answer out your A. It's just like, I'm gonna go be an astronaut and I'm gonna be the first this or first that. And, it's nice, so when, friends ask you, what's this girl say about whatever? You're like, oh, no, well, she wants to be a nurse and she wants to do this. And it all sounds good and you're working off your dreams. Bruh. In your 30s, it ain't that. Either doing it or you're not. It's reality. Ain't no dreams. It's what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing, but I want to. Nah. Ain't no more want to, because by your 30s, you're trying to make moves. You're trying to establish yourself. You got too much responsibility to be dedicating time to a maybe person. And I tell this. I tell this to my female friends. It's like, look, after a certain age is the cutoff date to be dealing with someone with dreams. And I tell this to homeboys too. It's like, look, at a certain point when people are trying to do something, barring exceptions, you shouldn't just be sitting dedicating your time to someone. Because the first question becomes, what were you doing with the first 12 years of adulthood? 12 years plus of adulthood. It's like, what were you actually doing with that time? And, life does happen, so I can't knock that. But if you just were sitting here kind of like, well, I was doing this, and that, and now I'm taking life seriously. Like, I'm not going to lie. In the pool of dating, in the pool of options, and I like to feel like there's a large, range of options out there. It's like to dedicate that to someone who may be doing something in their 30s, you're setting yourself up at risk because, you're thinking like how long it took you to get to the point where you're at when you're 30. From 18 to 30, that's 12 years. If this person isn't anywhere near where that at about 30, you're trying to give them another 12 years. So by 42, you got to hope that they're at their at the point you're at when you were 30, if they're following a similar track or if they actually buckle down at that age. Question is, do you want to do that? And mind you, I don't know you. I just met you. Like, do I want to dedicate to that? So I think it's harder because you have, once you go from dreaming to the reality of things and what you're actually doing, I think the pool to that extent drops from 20 to 30. But then now you're thinking about more serious things like this ability of a person to maintain a home and budget and how does their life affect yours? Because now you got to look at credit. You got to look at, if you want to travel, you got to look at these type of things. You got to look in your 30s, people may have kids or multiple kids or things such as that. So I do think it gets more complicated because as adults it gets more complicated.
Absolutely.
And you say baggage more of emotion. I would even say the opposite. I think near your 30s, people know what the hell they want versus what they don't want. I'm not dealing with the 20s of I'm finding out later on, well, I was more into this, but now I'm more into this, or I like this or that. Like I think in your 20s personally, you should date a lot. Doesn't mean sex, but date a lot. Because you need to know what you like versus you don't like. You might say, like, I like a more artistic person. Date an artistic person, see how that goes. I want a more professional dude. I do, different races if you want to. Like, this is how it is, or just different types of personalities or effects, and see how you feel about it. Because by the time you're in your 30s, you want to be like, look, I legitimately know what I want. I don't want to deal with someone who doesn't know what they want by that age. Because now, I'm a person of stability. I can't be if I'm trying to make sure my life is straight, I can't deal with you trying to figure out your life in your 30s, especially if I fit into it. Because I might investigate 3, 4, 5 years and come to find out I'm not your cup of tea. I can't do it. So, I mean, that would be, I do agree that it's harder, but that'd be my reason why I think it's harder.
No, I feel you. I mean, it's funny you made a point there about, that 18 to 30 range. I think that even especially for women, in that age range, I feel like when they date, I actually do feel like there's a bit of even though you're kind of going on dreams, there's still a bit of bet hedging. At the end of the day, you still have to hope that person that you involve yourself with has the level of drive or determination to get where they want to go. I think funny enough, that's more of a quality. That's a trait. That's something that, look, it's so funny, you always make this joke about, oh, well, you don't want someone who, isn't doing anything, right? Or you don't want somebody that is. Look, I think as a dude, I think I've been hearing that since 16, I promise you, right? Like, especially as a black dude, you know what I mean? And look, it is what it is. I can certainly understand why no black woman wants a lazy black man or a black man who is not focused on one, and all that. So that's of the utmost importance. I can certainly understand that. And I think that's why, I think what progress looks like, I think how we look at progress from 18 to 30 in a person is definitely different when you look at, someone who's more mature, 30 plus 40, obviously. Yeah. And I think that's the difference. So, because like I said, what translates to success when you're 20 or when you're 25 looks, like you said, a lot different when you're older. Yeah. One might be, we go out to dinner and and he pays rent, right? Yeah, well, when you're 30, 35, then you got to up the ante, right? Yeah. And that changes, that metamorphoses into something that's a lot more, what's the word for it? Adult. How do we say, right? Yeah. So, all right. We got 2 more points we want to hit on this, and I want to give them their due, but I see we are running up against the clock here. So we're gonna jump in and out of them, but I hope that especially one of them in particular, we're gonna have to definitely come back to.
Oh God!
And I think which one is that.
Which one? No. Which one is that, sir?
Oh, it's the one that we're gonna talk about briefly right now. It's about interracial dating. And interracial dating on its own, we can turn it into 10 episodes because especially if it's about black love, where do we see or how do we see interracial dating intervening, if you will, kind of squeezing the concept or preventing the concept of black love from flourishing? Statistically speaking, I think it's been very well established that it's not the problem that people make it out to be. It's people on social media, and I mean, and that happens all the time. You know, social media is a medium for the microcosm to be discussed. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know, I believe one statistic is what is it? You know, a black man is 3 times more likely than a black woman to be involved in an interracial relationship, and yet, you know, I believe the numbers 8 of 10 black men are in a black love, you know, or have a black partner, right? So it's kind of like, you know, all right, yeah. So you know, it's a lot of cherry picking that goes on, yeah. But yet it's still a debate that always gets highly discussed, largely because of a level of rhetoric and a level of a discourse that goes on around the issue that, in my opinion, has literally nothing to do with dating. It's really the idea, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, even though it does happen the other way around, and we'll get into that shortly, but it really does kind of center on the idea of some black men superimposing an image upon black women that is that plays towards artifacts of whiteness. You know, and artifacts of whiteness are more or less, you know, just things that are synonymous with the white culture. The longer hair, the blonde hair. I know that's hot right now. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to offend any of you ladies out there. You know, it look good on some of y'all. But they do. I mean, it does. It is what it is. Uh-huh. But you know, but you know, it's the artifacts of whiteness, the things that we like that are European centric, that are you know, that play. To play the things outside of our culture. You know, a dude will see a beautiful, gorgeous black woman, and she's rocking her natural hair, right? And they'll think it's nappy, they'll think it's ugly, they'll think it's all these things.
Yo, you're hitting 4 different episode topics.
But that's what I'm saying. Interracial dating is its own beast, and that's why I said, you know, it's a lot to deal with. But once again, the point that I'm trying to make there is all of those things exist out of the construct of interracial dating. Yeah. Because the same guys that will say that will date a black woman in a heartbeat. So but in terms of interracial dating as it relates to black love, I feel personally, statistically, that it does not bog down the concept of black love. Even if it is, you know, as some people say, peddled, if you will, or perpetrated. To another level. I think it's the stigmas that often get derived from it. I've had a black woman tell me that she only dates white men because she feels that black men are too aggressive.
Do I know her?
No, you don't know her. Okay. And I remember when she said that, and I'm like, wow, like, you know, I in my mind, I can, you know, like, wow, there's so many ways that I can tell you that you're wrong, but why do I even bother?
But you know what's ironic about that? Hey. I know white women who would say they only date black men because they like their assertiveness. Like,
and there you have it, right? You know, and I mean, but once again, I mean, but all of that is just playing into generalizations, and I feel, you know, going from point A to point B in the conversation that largely looms in our community for no other reason but really just for conjecture. We see it on television. You know, we see it out and about. You know, an NBA star marries another white woman. Serena Williams goes and marries a white man, or
she married a rich white man. Let's not even play this.
He got guap. He got
the founder of Reddit. Like, yo,
he's doing well for himself. Needless to say,
play games if you want to.
But yeah, man. But so you know, so I mean, all those things. But at the end of the day, I do feel as if, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with interracial dating. At the end of the day, love is love. And if you're going to find someone who's going to rock with you, who you can connect with, someone that you feel comfortable in your skin with, you know, then great. All these things that we've put on top of interracial dating, I think, like I said, are just far contrived. The one thing, though, I always lend credence to is, how does that person's family feel? You know, when guess who's coming to dinner, right? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't like Ashton Kutcher. I mean, I like his personal work with Congress and sex trafficking, but as an actor,
yeah, man. But that's I always find that to be the more intriguing debate because that's a cultural phenomenon that's separate and apart, and that's a social quagmire that exists within that construct, and far less the more conjecture and debate that surrounds the topic. But I always find that to be the more interesting. But yeah, interracial dating, like I said, date who you want to date, man. Just, you know, Don't you know? They say don't. You know, there's a quote somewhere that if you're a guy, really you should only do about 3 things. Don't get no one pregnant by accident, right? You know what I mean? Don't hurt no one's feelings, right? You know what I mean? And find somebody that you care about. And if you do those 3 things, you're fine. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
You know what? And just to kind of break off, since you talked about interracial dating, which will probably be another topic we're going to
definitely be another topic.
I'm going to hit on the last topic that we're going to hit with the time frame.
Absolutely.
Black marriage.
Indeed.
As again, being married to a beautiful black woman myself, I think the concept of black marriage is very interesting, and it kind of ties into your concept of interracial dating, because when I was going up the professional ranks, so to speak, one of the things that I've heard quite a few times, and someone you know's friends used to say it, that they would totally see me with a white woman. Now, mind you, anybody who knows me, Lil Haiti, North Miami, like all my life, all through Miami, like this is just me through and through. But for whatever reason, at some point they thought once I became a professional person, I was gonna go ahead and just go date a white woman, because there was a stigma behind me being a professional that I would go get a white woman. And apparently, you know, this is amongst with the pro athletes. I know girls.
I've heard this too.
Yeah. And I know girls who I've dated who, when I chase ain't even the word, but they went and preferred professional. I think they would say that would be one of the things they would run for the Hispanic or the white woman, et cetera, et cetera. And I will say this: I have in my life dated, and I'm going to overshoot rather than undershoot. I've probably been involved in terms of talking to about 4.
Were y'all talking or were you dating? Or
was
it a relationship?
Man, look, we're not I was not in a relationship with any of them, I think. And if I wasn't,
you don't think so.
Look, but I don't say no more than 5, and I'm just going to overshoot.
Okay.
That being said, I mean, I definitely realized, and it was a concept of what would other people think if this happened. And honestly, I didn't want to care as much. But then I thought about what I wanted, kind of what I wanted to dissect and be. And, you know, it didn't work out, so it's not a conversation I have. But I do appreciate the concept of the black marriage. And I definitely love my wife. And, you know, and although she's not here right now and she's sitting there enjoying Trinidad Carnival, shout out to her.
Turn up.
You know, and I do love it. And then I will say this. There's certain dynamics that I do appreciate. And I do feel like when we talk about the black struggle and all that, like we mentioned in our first episode, one thing I do appreciate is that I have someone who supports me as a black man.
Absolutely.
And through and through, feel free to disagree. We can go ahead and debate about it. But I don't think anybody can show me as a black man the love like a black woman can.
Amen. Look, man.
I just can't.
I always say, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I need someone to look at my situation as particular as I do my own. And you know, that's no offense to anyone of any other culture. And truth be told, look, there are plenty of people that have a different, you know, upbringing and cultural background, but yet you still understand, you know, their struggle from the standpoint that, you know, there are similar things or similar circumstances to it. For example, you know, someone in the Latino community can certainly understand the importance of the dynamic of family in a person, you know, or in my life, or you know, or the dynamic of just, you know, growing up in a certain situation, you know, maybe second generation, you know, or third generation, you know, from, you know, just being on the island, you know, your parents or your grandparents just being on the island, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are certain dynamics that definitely play out, and they still can be treated with appreciation and nuance. At the end of the day, look, man, my queen got to be chocolate, player. It is what it is. I want to see her crown with it. Like I want her to be unapologetically black. It is what it is. Black of the black. I want her to be black mixed with black. That's what it is, dog. You know what I mean?
And like I said, I agree with a lot of that. But I mean, if you're going to love who you love, so be it. Because in my particular situation, I feel like there's a particular struggle, a particular go through that I like. And then there's certain pluses to black marriage that I like. First off, for some reason, people are shocked that it happens, and I guess it's pretty cool. I mean, we've been compared to Barack and Michelle, Beyonce and Jay-Z. I mean, look, I'm going to go out and say they need to be compared to us, but, you know, I'm just going to go there. Come for me, Jay. Come for me, B. Come for me, Barack. Like, whatever. Like, you don't like it, come step to it. Will and Jada, y'all too.
Let's talk about it.
I'm just saying, you know, we can go to the Royal Rumble for this. You know what I'm saying? #1 black married couple. But That being said, it's definitely a great experience. It is awesome. I think there is a uniqueness to it. And I will say this, although the stats may show differently, I do think there is a threat to it, because I do legitimately think, and I've heard the mumblings of certain professionals, and again, whether they choose to or not, it's literally up to them. I give them all free speech. I don't think of them any differently. But there is a legitimate attack on at times the black woman and at times the black man by other groups or within their own group, where you'll have, like you say, black women who say they won't date black men and black men who say they won't date black women. It's one thing to say, look, I'm open and this is what I fell into. Another thing to say, I absolutely will not. Mm-hmm. And I do think that is kind of an attack there, and I think it does happen to a lot of the people that are on the more successful range. And I feel like these are the people who can help create and develop the next generation of solid black children who would assist the black people as a whole. So in that sense, I do feel like, I'm not going to say attack, but I do think there is something that's affecting that. Does having a biracial child affect that? No. I mean, shout out to our biracial brothers and sisters out there. But at the end of the day, there is a concern about that natural black dynamic that's being lost. And so, I mean, I applaud it. I absolutely applaud it, but I do not deter anybody from going for who they love.
Nah, no doubt. At the end of the day, man, I mean, that is what's seminal. Like, you find someone who cares, who you care about, someone that you love, most importantly, someone that you could build something with, right? Yeah. And as long as you get that, you're good to go. I think the politics that surround interracial dating and dating outside of your race, I think a lot of it deals with, a lot of it stems from insecurities that we have about ourselves. I mean, definitely. I mean, listen.
We're gonna have to hit this topic soon.
Oh, man. I told you, man. We gonna talk about it.
I can't take the berating right here, man. You might get messages with things I said for you. It's like, yo, Mike, I liked your topic, but that thing Mark said, man, the whole eating butt thing, man. I just don't know, man. I don't know if that's for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get the same.
Hey, look. Jenny Aiko's eating the booty, so anybody else can't do it. Anyway,
no, she
but you gotta eat the booty like
No. She said they gotta eat the booty. So you,
yeah, she did.
No, you said that Sean's eating the booty though. That's what you just essentially.
Well, hey, look. Well, I mean,
he do it.
Hey,
he looks up.
Big Sean, man. If he is, then true player for real. That's all I gotta say about that. You gotta know what you gotta do to keep her, right? You know what I mean? You gotta keep her happy, dog. But I will end the debate on this question, dog.
There you go.
I will end on this question, dog, and if you want to answer it, great. If not, we can leave it to our people out there in social media.
All right.
Let me ask you this, dog. If you marry Rachel Dolezal, is that considered an interracial marriage?
We gonna leave that there because my opinion on Rachel Dolezal is going to be problematic. My absolute opinion. I'm gonna leave it like this. I know a lot of people who's criticizing Rachel Dolezal that don't even know what an NAACP stands for.
That sounds about right. I'll leave it alone.
So we'll leave it at that.
And on that note,
close us out.
Look, this has been another edition of the M&M Podcast. On our next episode, we're going to talk about another very interesting topic.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about buying black. We're going to talk about the nuances, criticism, and stereotypes of buying from black businesses and selling to black consumers. So that is going to be a very interesting discussion. So make sure you tune in for that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page. Share, and continue to send your comments and questions. Look, we are reading them. Yes, Trust me, we are. And I've been, getting back to a lot of you guys, and Mark's been getting back to a lot of you guys. So continue to send those comments, questions, and most importantly, continue to share us, listen, and most importantly, most importantly, keep it locked in to us, the Marck and Mike Podcast. We appreciate all your support. Once again, thanks for listening. Peace.
Later.